to our brothers and sisters in Jamaica that life is more important than party. And Jamaica is more important than party politics. In America, partisan politics is literally destroying the country. So even though we disagree, that disagreement should never allow us to take the life of another human being simply because they are a member of a different party.
Greetings, family. Welcome back to the channel. Today's message is drawn directly from Minister Louis Farrakhan, speaking during an official visit to Jamaica. Whether you agree with him or not, this is a message Jamaicans cannot afford to ignore. Because what Minister Farrakhan spoke about was not party loyalty, not ideology, but life, unity, history, and survival.
On an official visit to the Gleaner, Minister Farrarkhan, who was a key player in the organisation of America's Million Man March in October of 1995, said Jamaican politics should be about more than just political tribalism and thuggery.
So now if I got a yellow shirt or a green shirt, does that mean that it has deprived me of my humanity? So we've got to outgrow these immature expressions of our differences. Jamaican politics must never degenerate into thuggishness. Politics is a means to an end, and the end should always be for the good of the island of Jamaica and all its people.
But in a bleak warning to Jamaica, Minister Farrarkhan warned of a revolution by the people unless government acted quickly to rectify Jamaica's debt problem.
There's a bitter pill that Jamaica has to swallow because of the debt of $216 billion and the slowdown in the economy. So let us hope and let us pray that we will be able to ease the pain through good politics. But at the same time, if we don't move quickly, the masses will rise in Jamaica, just like they're doing all over the world. And what I would hate to see is that a well-armed army and police force will shoot down those in the street.
In Jamaica, I'm skipping, they tried in 1976 to organize a military coup to overthrow Michael Manley. In 1976, they supported attempts to assassinate Michael Manley on 3 different occasions. The little man who led Jamaica, who spoke at Savior's Day, was such a threat to our government that they attempted 3 times to assassinate the man in 1976. So later, they found a way to get rid of him through riots in the street over food when they cut off assistance to Jamaica.
It's beautiful. You got one of the most beautiful anthems in the world. And you got a seat in the United Nations. Big up for you. But independence, you don't have that yet. Independence, you don't have that yet.
My father, my mother told me, because I really never met the man, was a Jamaican, very handsome. He was a handsome Jamaican. And he had light skin and what they call good hair. Lord help us. Hair has now a moral quality attached to it. But she told me that my grandfather, his father, was Portuguese. So I said, Portuguese? Then as I matured, I saw that in the Inquisitions in Spain and Portugal, many members of the Jewish people who had mastered in Europe the sugarcane industry in Spain, they had become great, we call it entrepreneurs, financiers. But in order for them to continue to live, they either had to say, I'm a Christian to survive, or flee. And many fled Spain and Portugal and came to what is called the West Indies and South America, namely Brazil. Now, if you study the slave trade, I don't want to labor on that so much, but in the Babylonian Talmud, did you know it was a rabbi that said that black people are cursed, black, doomed to be hewers of wood and drawers of water, because we are the children of Ham, that son of Noah that disrespected him? When you look at how black people are treated, no matter where we go in the world, that poison that we are somehow an inferior people, doomed to be hewers of wood and drawers of water of Caucasian people. And they teach this to their children. So when you meet them, you meet somebody who approaches you with a superior attitude.
Teach, brother.
And unfortunately, we have responded by bowing and acting in a servitude-like manner. But you know, as I studied the migration of the Portuguese, the Spanish, the Dutch, the French to the Caribbean, it was slavery that enriched Europe. And no matter what branch of Europe colonized or enslaved us, the British took away our African names and gave us English names, right? And most of us carry those names today. True? None of us spoke or speak today the language of our country and culture. We speak English because the English captured us and gave us not only their language, but their religion.
Yes, sir.
And they bred into us the hatred that they have for other members of the family of Europe that they were always fighting against. So the British and the French never got along too well. The British and the Spaniards never got along too well. And so here we are, we the British representatives. Is a Christian because the French made him that. You see?
Yes, sir.
So now the Spanish, oh, let's go to Puerto Rico or to Cuba.
Yes, yes.
When Spain conquered, they did the same thing to the African. Take away your name, take away your language, take away your culture. give you their language, give you their religion, and impose upon you their mind.
Yes, sir.
So here we are in the Caribbean. We are so divided, not just between British, English-speaking West Indians, French-speaking, Dutch-speaking, Spanish-speaking, French-speaking. No, no, no. We are worse than that. When I was a little boy, I heard a calypso song that was written by a Trinidadian, a Calypsonian, long time ago. Small island, go back where you come from. Small island, go back where you come from. You come by the 1 and the 2 and the 3. Now I find you up inside me breadfruit tree. Small island, go back where you come from. Now look, he was talking about the Bajans. What am I saying, my dear family? We were not only divided by the languages and cultures of Europe, we began to be divided even by our islands. So Jamaica and Barbados and Trinidad and St. Lucia and Anguilla, all of the islands, they had some beef against somebody from another island. And in America, when West Indian people started coming, they couldn't hang out with their own islanders. They had to go to a church, and for the first time, people from all the islands learned each other, learned to live together, learned to work together, learned to plan together for the advancement of those from the West Indies. And it was in that environment that the languages of the Caribbean, the dialects of the Caribbean nurtured my life. So now when you look at the introduction of slavery in the West Indies, you find that the Europeans and also members of the Jewish people bought up all the land. So the land where we worked in the cane fields was owned by somebody else. So we were always the plantation workers, but rich white people were the plantation owners. And so they made the wealth from us, but we just barely survived. So now, the Caribbean gave to the world sugar, bananas, pineapple, rice, and coffee. And in Brazil, there was sugar, tobacco, cocoa, and cotton. And the whites were the masters of the production and marketing of all those things. And of course, the British, the French, the Dutch, the Portuguese, the Spanish, all controlled these territories at various times. But no matter which European nation controlled the land and the sea, it mainly was the Jewish merchants who controlled the profitable trade in the produce of the Caribbean and America. And so here we are today. This is 2011.
Me no know when we loggerhead Jamaicans are gonna wake up and say PMP and JLP is nothing good for the country. Now, but I feel like say PMP are come make no changes. Me can't tell her that PMP them a come to do the same thing. Them a come for rob up the country, fat up them bank book, make sure so them pitney go through college and them live the best life. PMP and JLP is nothing good for the country. We need a different party to come in play. We really love Jamaican and love Jamaica for what it is. You can't, brother, sometimes you can look upon them politicians and a brother and see teeth in them face, you know. Man, know how you know see it, you know. You can just look upon them and see them as all guilty Jew. We come for rob everything for themselves. They just have this general look upon them. Look how much big speech they make and tell you, oh, them are come to do this and do that. You can't say, behind closed doors, they sit down and laugh and say, me can't wait for get in, for come rob up the country. PMP, JLP, I see him.
I saw a video where the leader of the opposition was telling Jamaicans that if he is elected, he will free up beach access to all Jamaicans. So you can imagine my shock when I learned that the same Mark Golding sent a candidate into Portland that currently has control over the Boston Beach and is refusing to relinquish his control, going as far as taking the government to court to make sure the people of Boston and Portland do not have access. Hypocrisy at its finest. And then the candidate out by St. Thomas that is squatting on government lands. Squatting on government lands as a political representative is telling people that he has been ordained to lead. Ordained to lead what? And what group of people? Using what standard of life as an example? Because we expect our political leaders to lead by example, and surely squatting on government lands without remorse and encouraging other people to do that cannot be the standard that we expect to see. I'm curious to know, what is the internal process that the PNP uses to select its candidates? Because let me tell you, the bar is in hell with these guys, you know.
Minister Louis Farrakhan opened with a simple but powerful truth. Life is more important than party. Jamaica is more important than party politics. He warned that partisan politics, when taken to extremes, destroys nations from within. A yellow shirt or a green shirt does not define your humanity. Political disagreement must never justify violence, because once politics turns tribal, the people become expendable. Farrarkhan was clear. Politics is a means to an end, and that end must always be the good of Jamaica and all its people. When politics degenerates into intimidation, street violence, or blind loyalty, it stops serving the people and starts serving power. This warning was not symbolic. It was practical and argument. Minister Farrarkhan issued a black warning. When debt cripples a nation and the economy slows, the suffering of the masses intensifies. If governments do not act quickly to relieve that pain, history shows us what follows: public unrest. He made it clear. What he feared most was not protest, but the violent suppression of citizens by their own security forces. That warning still echoes today. Farrarkhan reminded Jamaicans of 1976, when attempts were made to destabilize and remove Michael Manley. Assassination attempts, economic pressure, food shortages, street unrest. His point was not nostalgia, it was education. Because when leaders challenge global power structures, pressure always follows. Understanding this history is essential if Jamaica is to avoid repeating it. Minister Farrarkhan praised Jamaica's beauty, its anthem, its international presence. But then he said something profound. Independence is more than symbols. True independence means economic control, cultural confidence, political sovereignty. Without those, independence remains incomplete. Farrarkhan traced how colonial powers took African names, imposed European languages, replaced culture, divided people by island, language, and class. And those divisions didn't disappear. They evolved. PNP versus GLP, island versus island, poor versus poorer. Division was always the strategy, and it still works if we allow it. Fast forward to today. Campaign promises sound good, but actions often contradict words. Beach access, land control, leadership by example. When politicians say one thing publicly and do another privately, trust dies. Minister Farrakhan's message reminds us leaders must be judged by actions, not speeches. Whether you agree with Minister Louis Farrakhan or not, his warning to Jamaica was not for entertainment. It was a wake-up call. Jamaica is bigger than party colors. Life is bigger than politics, and the future belongs to informed, courageous people, not blind followers. So here is the call to action. Think beyond party loyalty. Hold leaders accountable. Reject political violence and educate yourself, because knowledge is power. And if this message resonates with you, don't forget to like this video, share it with a Jamaican who needs to hear it, and subscribe to the channel for more conversations that challenge, educate, and uplift our people. Turn on your notifications so you don't miss the next upload. Jamaica's future won't change by silence. It changes when the people speak, think, and act. Respect to everyone watching. One love.